The massive ship moved through space like a dark mountain. Its black metal hull stretched for miles, covered in spikes and weapon ports that could destroy entire cities. Inside the ship, Captain Zexthai stood 12 feet tall on his powerful legs. His black shell gleamed under the dim red lights of the bridge. Sharp claws clicked against the metal floor as he walked to the viewing screen. "Show me the target planet," he ordered his crew. His voice was deep and harsh, like grinding stone. The screen lit up with an image of a blue and green world. White clouds swirled around its surface. It looked peaceful and quiet, spinning slowly in the darkness of space. "Third planet from the star," reported his lieutenant. "The species calls it Earth. They call themselves humans." Zexthai studied the planet. He had conquered 400 worlds in his lifetime. Each one had fallen within days. Some species tried to fight. Others begged for mercy. All of them lost. The Vorthak Empire ruled the galaxy because they were the strongest. They were born to hunt and kill. "What do we know about these humans?" Zexthai asked. His science officer pulled up data on the screen. Images of humans appeared next to their planet. Zexthai saw small creatures with soft pink skin and no natural weapons. They had no claws, no fangs, no armor plating. They looked weak and fragile. "They are young species," the science officer said. "Only recently discovered space travel. No real weapons, no strong military. They have divided governments that fight each other." Zexthai laughed. The sound was like metal scraping against rock. "They look like prey animals. How many ships do they have?" "Less than 200 small vessels. Most are for cargo, not war. They have built some weapons, but nothing that can hurt our ships." The captain walked closer to the screen. He had seen thousands of species. The strong ones lasted longer in battle. The smart ones tried clever tricks. The brave ones died fighting. But all of them fell before the might of the Vorthak. "Send the surrender message," Zexthai ordered. "Standard terms. They have 3 days to give up, or we destroy them." On Earth, Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison sat in the communications center of the space station high above the planet. He was a tall man with short brown hair and tired eyes. Jake had served in the Marines for 10 years before joining the Space Defense Force. He thought he had seen everything until the alien message came through. The transmission filled the room with a harsh voice, speaking broken English. "We are Vorthak. Empire. You will surrender all military forces. You will accept our rule. You have 72 Earth hours. Refuse and die." Jake stared at the message. He had studied the alien ship through their telescopes. It was bigger than anything humans had ever built. The readings showed weapons that could level mountains, but something about the message bothered him. It sounded too simple, too sure of itself. "Sir, what should we tell them?" asked his communications officer. "Patch me through to Admiral Sullivan," Jake said, "and get me everything we know about that ship." Admiral Kate Sullivan was in a meeting when the call came in. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp blue eyes. Kate had commanded troops in 3 wars on Earth. She knew how to fight against bigger, stronger enemies. When Jake explained the alien demand, she felt her jaw tighten. "How long until they attack?" she asked. "The message said 72 hours, Jake replied. "But Admiral, I think they expect us to give up without a fight." Kate looked out the window at Earth below. Billions of people lived on that blue world. They had families, dreams, and hopes for the future. She would not let some alien monsters. "Take that away. Send a message to all fleet commanders," she ordered. "Emergency meeting in 1 hour. And Jake, start moving our ships into defensive positions." "Yes, ma'am. But Admiral, their ship is massive. Our weapons might not even scratch it." Kate smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Jake, I learned something fighting on Earth. Size doesn't always win battles. Sometimes the little guy has advantages the big guy doesn't see." On the Vorthak ship, Captain Zexthai waited for the human response. He expected begging or offers to negotiate, Most species tried to buy time or offer tribute. It never worked. The Vorthak took what they wanted. Captain, his communications officer called out. We are receiving a transmission from the humans. Put it on screen, Zexthai said. He expected to see a frightened leader ready to surrender. Instead, he saw a human female in a military uniform. Her eyes were hard and her voice was steady. This is Admiral Kate Sullivan of the United Earth Defense Force. We have received your message. Here is our response. No. The transmission ended. Zexthai stared at the blank screen. In 3,000 years of conquest, no species had ever simply said no to the Vorthak Empire. Did they say anything else? He asked. No, Captain. Just that one word. Zexthai felt something strange in his chest. Was it anger? Confusion? He had expected fear, not defiance. These humans looked so weak, yet they dared to refuse the mighty Vorthak. Prepare 3 assault ships, he ordered. We will show them what happens to species that refuse our mercy. Back on Earth, Admiral Sullivan watched the alien ship through the tactical display. It was moving closer, just as she expected. Jake, Morrison stood beside her, along with the other fleet commanders. They're sending smaller ships toward our major cities, Jake reported. Looks like 3 of them. Good, Sullivan said. They want to scare us first. Make us panic and surrender. But they made a mistake. What mistake? Asked Commander Ryan Blake, the leader of Earth's fighter squadrons. Sullivan pointed at the display. They think we're like every other species they've conquered. They think one show of force will break us. But they don't understand humans. She turned to face the room full of officers. These men and women had trained their whole lives for war, even though they never expected to fight aliens. Now, the test had come. We're not the strongest species in the galaxy, Sullivan continued. We're not the smartest or the fastest, but we have something they don't expect. When someone pushes us, we push back harder. The alien ships grew larger on the screen as they approached Earth. Soon the real battle would begin. The Vorthak had conquered 400 worlds, but they had never fought humans before. They were about to learn that some prey fought back. The battered remains of the Vorthak fleet gathered at the edge of the solar system. Captain Zexthai stood on the bridge of his damaged command ship, watching Earth grow smaller in the distance. Half his fleet was gone. The other half was broken and scared. Warriors who had never known defeat now jumped at shadows. Captain, his communications officer said quietly, the High Command is demanding a report. Zexthai had been dreading this moment. How could he explain to the Empire that a species of weak primitives had destroyed the greatest fleet in Vorthak? History? How could he tell them that the galaxy's apex predators had become prey? Tell them, Zexthai said slowly, that we have encountered something new. On Earth, celebrations filled the streets of every city. People who had lived in fear for months now danced and sang under open skies. But in the military command centers, the mood was more serious. Admiral Sullivan knew this victory was just the beginning. They'll be back, she told General Alex Turner. Maybe not tomorrow or next year, but they'll return with a bigger fleet. Alex nodded. Then we need to be ready. But more than that, we need allies. The Vorthak have been terrorizing the galaxy for thousands of years. There must be other species who want to be free. Dr. Lisa Hayes had been studying the captured Vorthak technology and prisoners. She made a discovery that changed everything. The Vorthak Empire isn't as strong as they pretend, she announced to the command staff. They rule through fear, but most of their territory is controlled by conquered species who hate them. What does that mean for us? Asked Admiral Sullivan. It means we're not alone. If we can contact these oppressed worlds, we might find that we have friends we never knew about. Commander Ryan Blake was already preparing for humanity's next mission. His fighter squadrons had proven they could defeat the Vorthak in battle. Now they would prove that humans could be more than just defenders of Earth. We're going hunting, Ryan announced to his pilots. But this time, we're not hunting ships. We're hunting hope. We're going to find every world the Vorthak have enslaved and tell them that freedom is possible. Captain Danny Clark had converted his cargo ships into long-range exploration vessels. His mission was to carry human technology and knowledge to distant worlds. More importantly, he would carry the story of how Earth had defeated the galaxy's greatest predators. "We're not conquerors," Danny told his crews. "We're not looking to build an empire. We're just showing people that bullies can be beaten." Engineer Maria Rodriguez worked with teams of scientists to develop new technologies based on what they had learned from the war. But instead of building weapons, they focused on tools that could help other species defend themselves. "Every world should have the right to protect itself," Maria explained. "We're going to teach them how." The news of the Vorthak defeat spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On 1,000 conquered worlds, enslaved peoples whispered the story to each other. A small blue planet called Earth had done the impossible. They had faced the Vorthak Empire and won. Some species did not believe the stories at first. The Vorthak had ruled for so long that many had forgotten what freedom looked like. But as more reports arrived, hope began to grow in places where it had been dead for centuries. On the planet Kepler, a species called the Zentari had served as slaves in Vorthak mining operations for 800 years. When they heard about Earth's victory, their leaders held secret meetings in the deep tunnels. "Is it really true?" asked Elder Vextan. "Did these humans really defeat a Vorthak fleet?" "The reports all say the same thing," replied his aide. "The humans not only won, they made the Vorthak retreat. For the first time in generations, the Zentari began to plan a rebellion. On the water world of Aquanis, the fish-like Hydrani had been forced to harvest rare minerals from their ocean floors for Vorthak use. When human ships arrived carrying the message of resistance, the Hydrani leaders wept tears of joy. "We thought we were alone," said Chief Navigator Tidalspeak. "We thought no one in the galaxy was strong enough to stand against the Empire." Commander Ryan Blake spoke to the Hydrani through translators. "You were never alone. You just didn't know it yet. Every species the Vorthak have conquered is part of the same fight." Back in Vorthak space, Captain Zexthai faced the High Command's fury. The Empire's leaders could not accept that their perfect system of conquest had failed. They blamed Zexthai for the defeat and stripped him of his command. "You have disgraced the Empire," declared High Commander Vorthul. "How could you lose to such pathetic creatures?" "Because they are not pathetic," Zexthai replied. "They are something we have never encountered before. They do not break when threatened. They become stronger." The High Command refused to listen. They began planning a massive invasion fleet that would crush Earth and restore Vorthak reputation. But their plans would take years to complete, and they did not realize how much the galaxy would change in that time. Dr. Lisa Hayes established the first interspecies communication center on Earth. Representatives from dozens of formerly enslaved worlds came to share knowledge and coordinate resistance efforts. The center became the heart of a growing alliance. "This is what the Vorthak always feared," Lisa explained to a gathering of alien diplomats. "They kept everyone separated, so no one could unite against them. But now we're bringing the galaxy together." The alliance grew stronger each month. Human technology helped other species build better defenses. Human tactics taught them how to fight more effectively. Most importantly, human determination showed them that victory was possible. Admiral Sullivan stood in the expanded command center, looking at a map of the galaxy. Red dots showed Vorthak-controlled systems. Blue dots showed worlds that had joined the alliance. Every week, more red dots turned blue. "They're losing control," she said to General Alex Turner. "Planet by planet, system by system, their empire is falling apart." Alex smiled. "They taught us an important lesson. The strongest predator isn't always the one with the biggest claws. Sometimes, it's the one that refuses to give up." On his damaged ship, Captain Zexthai watched the reports of rebellion spreading across Vorthak space. Every day brought news of another world declaring independence. The empire his people had built, over 3 millennia, was crumbling. But something strange was happening to Zexthai. Instead of anger or despair, he felt something like relief. The humans had shown him that there was more to existence than hunting and conquest. Maybe there was another way to live. He sent a secret message to Earth, addressed to Admiral Sullivan. "You have taught us that strength comes from more than fear," he wrote. "Perhaps it is time for the Vorthak to learn new ways." The message was the first step toward an alliance that would reshape the galaxy. The former apex predators would become partners in building a future where species worked together instead of preying on each other. Commander Ryan Blake led the last mission of the war, escorting a group of Vorthak diplomats to Earth for peace talks. As his ship approached the blue world that had changed everything, he thought about how far they had all come. The hunters had become the hunted, but more importantly, enemies had become allies. The galaxy would never be the same again, and that was exactly what the universe needed. The war had been going on for 3 months, and Captain Zexthai no longer recognized his own fleet. Half of his ships showed battle damage. Many of his warriors walked with slumped shoulders and nervous eyes. The mighty Vorthak Empire was learning what fear felt like. Each day brought new human attacks. The enemy appeared from empty space, struck hard, and vanished before the Vorthak could respond. Every battle taught the humans something new about Vorthak weaknesses, but the aliens seemed unable to learn anything about fighting humans. "Captain," his communications officer reported, "we have lost contact with the mining fleet near Jupiter." Zexthai felt his claws dig into the metal arm of his command chair. That was the 4th supply group destroyed this week. The humans were not just fighting his warships, they were attacking everything that kept his fleet running. "Send a patrol to investigate," he ordered. But he already knew what they would find: wreckage and bodies floating in space. The humans had struck again. On Earth, Admiral Sullivan stood in the rebuilt command center. The underground base had been expanded 3 times as more countries joined the fight. Scientists, engineers, and military leaders from every nation worked together against the common threat. "Operation Longshot is ready," General Alex Turner announced. "We've identified the Vorthak command ship. If we can destroy it, their whole fleet will lose coordination." Sullivan studied the battle plan. It was dangerous and would require perfect timing. But 3 months of fighting had taught the humans that taking risks was better than playing it safe against the Vorthak. "How many ships will we need?" she asked. "Everything we have left. Every fighter, every converted cargo ship, every hidden weapon platform. This is our one chance to end this war." Dr. Lisa Hayes had been studying captured Vorthak warriors for weeks. She found something important in their behavior patterns. "Their entire culture depends on following the strongest leader," she explained to the command staff. "If that leader fails or shows weakness, the whole system breaks down." "You mean if we kill their captain, the rest might surrender?" asked Colonel Sam Parker. "Maybe, but it's more than that. The Vorthak believes strength is everything. If we prove we're stronger, some of them might even switch sides." Engineer Maria Rodriguez showed off her latest creation. She had reverse-engineered Vorthak technology and built human weapons that could punch through their heaviest armor. "These missiles use their own shield frequency against them," she explained. "The stronger their defenses, the more damage we do." Commander Ryan Blake prepared his fighter squadrons for the most dangerous mission of the war. His pilots had become experts at fighting the aliens, but this battle would be different. They would have to fly directly into the enemy fleet and survive long enough to destroy the command ship. "Remember what we learned," Ryan told his pilots. "The Vorthak are predictable. They always respond the same way to the same threat. Use that against them." Captain Danny Clark gathered his crew of converted cargo ships. They looked like harmless freighters, but each one carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Danny's job was to get close to the Vorthak command ship without being detected. "We're the delivery service," Danny joked with his pilots. "We're delivering a special package right to the enemy's front door." The Vorthak fleet had regrouped near Saturn, using the planet's rings for cover. Captain Zexthai thought the rings would protect his ships from human attacks. He did not realize that the humans had been hiding weapons platforms in those same rings for weeks. "Begin the attack," Admiral Sullivan ordered from Earth. The battle started with explosions throughout Saturn's rings. Hidden human weapons opened fire on the Vorthak fleet from every direction. The aliens had expected safety but found themselves surrounded by enemies. Captain Zexthai screamed orders as his ships tried to respond to the surprise attack, but his commanders were confused and frightened. They had never fought an enemy that could hide weapons in empty space and coordinate attacks across such vast distances. "Where are they coming from?" demanded his tactical officer. "Everywhere," Zexthai replied grimly. "They have turned the entire system into a weapon." Commander Ryan Blake led the first wave of fighters through the chaos. Human ships darted between the massive Vorthak vessels like angry insects. They fired their new weapons and watched alien shields collapse under the improved firepower. "Target the command ship," Ryan called over the radio. "Big ugly one in the center. That's our objective." The Vorthak command ship was 3 times larger than any other vessel in the fleet. Its weapons could destroy cities, and its armor could withstand the impact of asteroids. But Maria Rodriguez's new missiles were designed specifically to crack that armor. Danny Clark's freighters approached the command ship from the blind spots that Dr. Lisa Hayes had identified. The Vorthak sensors ignored the small cargo vessels, thinking they were debris or escape pods. "Delivery complete," Danny announced as his ships opened their cargo bays. Instead of supplies, they released swarms of guided missiles that sped toward the command ship. Captain Zexthai felt his ship shake under the impact of human weapons. Alarms screamed throughout the bridge. His officers shouted damage reports that got worse by the minute. "Shields failing," reported his engineering officer. "Hull breaches on decks 12 through 20. We're losing life support in the forward sections." For the first time in his life, Zexthai considered the possibility of defeat. Not just losing a battle, but being completely destroyed by an enemy he had thought was weak and primitive. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the humans." "Put it on screen," Zexthai ordered. Dr. Lisa Hayes appeared on the display. She spoke calmly, as if discussing the weather. "Captain Zexthai of the Vorthak Empire, your ship is damaged and your fleet is scattered. You have 2 choices: withdraw from our solar system and never return, or be destroyed here today." Zexthai stared at the human female. She showed no fear, no anger, no hatred. She spoke as if the outcome of the battle was already decided. "You are just primitives," he said. "We are the rulers of the galaxy." "You were the rulers," Lisa replied. "But that was before you met humans. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We just want you to leave us alone. This is your last warning." The transmission ended. Zexthai looked around his damaged bridge. Half his crew was dead or wounded. His mighty ship was falling apart under human attacks. In the distance, he could see other Vorthak vessels exploding or trying to escape. "Captain," his tactical officer whispered, "what are your orders?" Zexthai closed his eyes. Everything he had believed about Vorthak's superiority was crumbling like his ship's hull. These humans had done something no species had ever accomplished. They had turned the hunters into the hunted. "Signal the fleet," he said quietly. "We withdraw." As the surviving Vorthak ships limped away from Saturn, word of their defeat spread across the galaxy faster than light. The species that had terrorized countless worlds for 3,000 years had been beaten by creatures they had dismissed as weak prey. On distant planets, enslaved peoples looked up at the stars with new hope. If the humans could defeat the Vorthak, maybe freedom was possible after all. The age of Vorthak dominance was ending, and a new chapter in galactic history was about to begin. News of the defeat spread through the Vorthak fleet like poison. Young warriors could not believe what they heard. The humans had destroyed one of their ships and forced the others to retreat. Some of the younger Vorthak demanded a chance to prove themselves against these strange creatures. But the older warriors remembered other battles. They had fought species with better weapons, stronger bodies, and advanced technology. All of them had fallen. Yet something about this defeat felt different. The humans had not just survived the first attack. They had learned from it and won. Captain HFY stood alone in his private chamber, staring at the battle reports. His claws had left deep scratches in the metal walls. The humans had done more than damage his ships. They had damaged something deeper. For 3,000 years, the Vorthak had believed they were the perfect predators. Now doubt crept into his mind like a disease. A message arrived from the Vorthak High Command. They were sending 2 more battle fleets to finish what HFY had started. The message also carried a warning. Failure was not acceptable. The Empire's reputation could not survive another defeat. On Earth, General Alex Turner studied maps and battle plans in the underground command center. Alex was a small man with gray hair and clever eyes. He had spent his life thinking about war and how to win battles against stronger enemies. "We surprised them once," Alex told Admiral Sullivan, "but they won't make the same mistakes again. They'll bring more ships and change their tactics." Sullivan nodded. "How many ships are they sending?" "Our deep space sensors detected 2 large fleets moving this way, maybe 200 ships total. We have less than 50 combat vessels." "Then we can't fight them the same way," Sullivan said. "What do you suggest?" Alex pointed to a map of the solar system. "We spread out. Use the asteroid belt, the moon bases, the mining stations, make them hunt us through the entire system. Every time they think they have us cornered, we hit them from somewhere else." Dr. Lisa Hayes entered the room carrying a data pad filled with information about the alien ships. "I've been studying the wreckage from the ship we shot down," she said. "Their technology is advanced, but it's also very rigid. They build everything the same way, following the same patterns." "What does that mean for us?" Alex asked. "It means they don't adapt quickly. Once we figure out how to hurt them, that knowledge works against all their ships, but it also means they'll bring overwhelming force next time." Engineer Maria Rodriguez worked day and night in her laboratory, building new weapons from the alien technology they had captured. Maria had designed mining equipment before the war started. Now she used that knowledge to create tools of destruction. "The alien hull material is strong," she explained to her team, "but it has weak points where the plates connect. We need weapons that can hit those exact spots." Maria's engineers built new missiles with smart guidance systems. They also created portable weapons that ground troops could use against alien warriors. Each weapon was designed to exploit what they had learned about Vorthak technology. Captain Danny Clark flew cargo ships before the war began. Now he commanded a small fleet of converted freighters that looked harmless but carried hidden weapons. Danny's job was to hit the enemy where they didn't expect attack. "Remember, we're not heroes," Danny told his pilots. "We're pests. Bite them and run away. Make them angry and confused. Lead them into traps." Danny's ships hid among the asteroids between Mars and Jupiter. The asteroid belt was huge, full of rocks and debris that could hide a small fleet. When the Vorthak came looking for them, they would find surprises waiting. The 2 Vorthak battle. Fleets arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system like a dark storm. Captain HFY now commanded all 3 fleets from his massive flagship. He had over 200 ships under his command, enough firepower to destroy entire planets. "This time we do not play games," HFY announced to his fleet commanders. "We destroy everything, ships, stations, cities. When we are finished, the humans will remember why the galaxy fears us." But when the Vorthak fleets moved toward Earth, they found no enemy waiting for them. The human ships had scattered throughout the solar system. Some hid behind the moon. Others waited in the asteroid belt. A few ships stayed near Earth, but they kept moving and never stayed in one place long. "Where are they?" demanded the captain of the Second Fleet. Why do they not defend their home world? Zexthai studied the tactical displays. The humans were doing something no other species had ever tried. Instead of gathering their forces to protect their most important world, they had spread out to make hunting difficult. They are making us chase them, he realized. They want us to split our forces. But Zexthai had too many ships to worry about that. He divided his fleets into hunting groups and sent them after the scattered human forces. Each group had enough power to destroy any human ship they found. The first hunting group found Danny Clark's freighters hiding in the asteroids. The Vorthak ships moved in for easy kills, but the freighters were not as helpless as they looked. Hidden weapons opened fire from inside the cargo holds. The asteroids themselves exploded, revealing that they were really disguised human ships. "Ambush!" the Vorthak commander screamed, but it was too late. Danny's ships had turned the asteroid field into a maze of traps and hidden weapons. 2 Vorthak ships were destroyed before the others could retreat. Near the moon, Commander Ryan, Blake led his fighters against another hunting group. The human ships used the moon's gravity to slingshot around and attack from unexpected angles. They fired their weapons and disappeared behind the lunar mountains before the Vorthak could respond. "They're everywhere and nowhere," one Vorthak captain reported. "We destroy one ship and 3 more attack from different directions." General Alex Turner watched the battles from Earth's command center. His plan was working. The Vorthak were strong, but they were also predictable. They thought like hunters chasing prey. They did not know how to fight an enemy that refused to stay still and be caught. "Phase 2, Alex ordered. "All hidden stations begin attacks." Throughout the solar system, weapons platforms that looked like asteroids or space debris suddenly came alive. Mining stations revealed hidden missile launchers. Even some of the communication satellites opened fire with concealed weapons. "Captain," Zexthai felt his confidence cracking like broken armor. The humans were not fighting like any species he had ever encountered. They did not try to match his strength. Instead, they made his strength useless by refusing to fight where he expected them to fight. "Pull back to formation," he ordered his scattered fleets. "Regroup at the outer planets." But regrouping would take time, and the humans used every minute. They hit supply ships, damaged communication relays, and rescued crews from damaged Vorthak vessels to learn more about their technology. Dr. Lisa Hayes studied the captured aliens and their equipment. "They're not used to losing," she reported. "Their whole culture is built around being the strongest. When they start losing, they don't know how to handle it." For the first time since the war began, some of the Vorthak warriors started to ask questions they had never asked before. What if they were not the perfect predators? What if there was something in the galaxy stronger than them? The humans were teaching them a lesson that would change everything. Sometimes the hunter becomes the hunted. The 3 Vorthak ships descended toward Earth like falling stars. Each one was the size of a city block, covered in weapons and thick armor. Captain Zexthai watched from his command ship as the assault vessels approached their targets. New York, Tokyo, and London would see the power of the Vorthak Empire. Then the humans would surrender like all the others. "Begin the fear protocol," Zexthai ordered. "Show them what happens to species that refuse us." The first ship reached New York and hovered over the city. People in the streets looked up at the massive black hull blocking out the sun. The ship's weapons charged with a low humming sound that made windows shake. This was the moment when most species broke and begged for mercy, but the humans did something different. They fought back. Commander Ryan Blake sat in his fighter cockpit high above the city. He led a squadron of 12 ships, each one small compared to the alien vessel. Ryan had been a test pilot before joining the Defense Force. He was used to flying machines that other people said were impossible to control. "All pilots, this is Blake," he said into his radio. "Remember the plan. Hit and run. Don't try to trade shots with that thing. Use the buildings for cover." Ryan dove his fighter toward the alien ship. The Vorthak vessel fired at him with bright red beams. The weapons were powerful but slow. Ryan twisted his ship between the beams and fired his missiles. They struck the alien hull and exploded in flashes of orange fire. The Vorthak ship turned to follow him, but Ryan was already gone. He flew between the tall buildings of the city, using them like a maze. The alien ship was too big to follow him into the narrow spaces. "Target is moving slow," Ryan reported to his squadron. "Their weapons are strong but not fast. Keep moving and they can't hit us." Other human fighters joined the attack. They came from all directions, firing missiles and energy weapons. Each pilot learned from watching the others. When one pilot found a weak spot, he shared it with the team. When someone discovered a new tactic, everyone tried it. Dr. Lisa Hayes watched the battle from the military command center. She was supposed to study alien life, but now she was helping plan attacks. Lisa stared at the video feeds from the battle, taking notes on everything she saw. "Their weapons follow a pattern," she told Admiral Sullivan. "They fire in sequence, left to right. There's a 2-second gap between each shot." "Can our pilots use that?" Sullivan asked. "Yes. If they time it right, they can fly through the gap." Sullivan picked up her radio. "All squadrons, this is command. The alien weapons fire in sequence. 2-second gaps. Use them." In Tokyo, Colonel Sam Parker led ground forces against a Vorthak landing party. 20 alien warriors had landed in the city center. Each one stood 12 feet tall with claws that could cut through steel. They expected the humans to run in terror. Instead, Sam's soldiers were waiting for them. "Remember, don't fight them head-on," Sam told his troops through the radio. "Use the city. Make them come to us." The Vorthak warriors marched down the main street, looking for humans to kill. They moved in a straight line like a hunting pack. But the streets were empty. The humans had evacuated the civilians and hidden their soldiers. The first alien stepped on a hidden mine. The explosion knocked him down and damaged his armor. Before he could stand up, human soldiers fired from windows and rooftops. The Vorthak tried to charge the buildings, but more mines exploded. Debris fell from above. Soldiers fired from new positions and then disappeared. "They're too big for the buildings," one of Sam's sergeants reported. "When they try to chase us inside, they get stuck in the doorways." "Good," Sam replied. "Keep them moving. Wear them down." The Vorthak had expected to frighten the humans with their size and strength. Instead, they found themselves trapped in a maze of concrete and steel. Every street could hide an ambush. Every building could be a fortress or a trap. Back in space, Captain Zexathai watched his assault ships struggle against the human defenders. The ship over New York had taken serious damage. Its armor was cracked, and several weapon ports were destroyed. The ship over Tokyo was calling for help as human soldiers picked off the landing party one by one. "How is this possible?" Zexathai demanded. "They are just primitives with simple weapons." His tactical officer studied the battle reports. "Captain, they are not fighting like the other species. Most species try to match our strength with their strength. These humans avoid our strong points and attack our weak points." "What weak points? We are Vorthak. We have no weaknesses." "Sir, our ships are designed for battle in open space. In the atmosphere, between buildings, we cannot use our full power. The humans are using their planet like a weapon." Zexathai watched as another human fighter slipped through his ship's weapons fire. The pilot seemed to know exactly when each weapon would fire. How had they learned so quickly? On Earth, Dr. Lisa Hayes was sharing more information with the fighter pilots. "The alien ships have blind spots," she announced. "Their sensors can't track fast-moving targets that stay close to the hull." Commander Ryan Blake heard this and smiled. "All pilots, form up on me. We're going to fly right up against their ship." "That's suicide," one pilot replied. "No, that's winning. Trust the doctor." Ryan led his remaining fighters in a desperate charge directly at the alien ship. The Vorthak weapons fired at them, but the fighters were moving too fast and too close. They struck the ship's hull like angry wasps, firing everything they had. The Vorthak ship shuddered under the attack. Its shields failed, and its weapons stopped firing. Smoke poured from holes in its armor. The massive vessel began to fall toward the city below. "All civilians evacuated from the impact zone," reported ground control. "Let it fall." The alien ship crashed into the Hudson River with a splash that sent waves across the city. The first Vorthak vessel had been destroyed by creatures they thought were weak and helpless. Captain Zexthai felt something he had never experienced before: fear. Not the fear of death in battle, which every warrior knew. This was different. This was the fear that everything he believed might be wrong. "Recall the assault ships," he ordered quietly. "Sir?" his officer asked. "Bring them back. Now." For the first time in 3,000 years, a Vorthak attack had failed. The humans had not run in terror. They had not begged for mercy. They had fought back and won. Admiral Sullivan watched the alien ships retreat from Earth's atmosphere. Her pilots cheered over the radio, but she remained calm. This was just the beginning. The real battle was still coming. "All units, regroup and rearm," she ordered. "They'll be back, and next time they won't underestimate us." But the damage was done. Across the galaxy, other species heard the news. The mighty Vorthak had been defeated by a species no one had ever heard of. For the first time in centuries, hope began to spread among the conquered worlds. The hunters had become the hunted.